Hello everybody, welcome to this week's update video. My name is Martin and I'm an Inkscape developer and I develop features and fixes for everyday Inkscape users. We talk about some of the things that have been going on inside the Inkscape project, but before we get into the details, I want to give a big thank you and a big shout out to all of the people that sponsor me for my time. The way this works is instead of me getting an industry job and working for Google or whoever, I get to work for you guys directly thanks to your sponsorship on Patreon and LibrePay. If you would like to join the people who sponsor my work and help me spend more time on Inkscape, please consider joining in the links below. Okay, so what have we been getting up to this week? Well, I was going to take a week off. Well, not just a week off, but like just doing some administrative tasks. And then I saw this release of Krita 6. Which, if you have not checked it out and you are an Inkscape user, please do check it out. It's more of a painting tool, raster images and so on, but it is not just a raster tool. They also have vector layers, and they have been improving their text support significantly. So much so that the text support in Krita 6, I would argue, has leapfrogged Inkscape's text support in certain key areas. And Inkscape is supposed to be the tool. We're supposed to be, like, this is our thing. So I decided to spend a bit of time implementing two key features that I think that Inkscape is significantly worse at, that Krita has managed to fix. And I've created a merge request and gone through the process of refining the user experience. These are the ability to put text on a path by simply selecting the text tool and then clicking on a path, and then typing, and putting text in a shape by selecting the text tool, clicking inside of a shape, and starting to type, right? This workflow is so much easier to use, and Krita 6 demonstrates this pretty effectively. It's much better than Inkscape's existing workflow for these two pieces of functionality, where you have to create a piece of text first, and then select both the shape and the text, and either use the text put on path or text flow into frame, I think it's called, which is a much clunkier way of doing basically the exact same thing. Like almost every other piece of work that I've had to do where I was adding a feature, I've had to refactor and fix certain things inside of Inkscape itself where we had made assumptions. So I managed to fix a bug where if you drag a rectangle with the text tool to create a text frame, and then didn't type anything, but then just created another frame, and another frame, and another frame. Each of those text objects were invisible and empty, but still existed. The tool itself didn't clean up after itself, and this was for all sorts of like internal reasons about how we predict where the cursor will be when you start to type. So what we were doing is we were creating the object in advance, despite the fact that you hadn't actually typed anything yet, but only for the instance of using the frame. So I changed that because that's silly. We shouldn't be doing that. But it did mean that I had to go back and change the way Inkscape was predicting where cursors should be when you are creating a text object before you create a text object. And in that way, it just means that it's more predictable that when you start to type it's going to appear in this direction at this particular place. There is more work that needs to be done for left to right, right to left operations and top to bottom block progressions. Those are slightly harder to do because it needs much more refactoring, and I didn't really fancy rewriting the entire of the text stuff in Inkscape. I have enough other stuff to do with the color support, but for now this should be enough, right? It should improve the experience significantly. These particular improvements should be in 1.5, and hopefully do give it a test if you are one of the many watchers to these videos who do download some of the test builds of Inkscape and test some of the features that I talk about, because your input really does help me understand exactly what normal users will feel, because it is about feeling when they try to use some of the user experience improvements. And also I want to give a congratulations to the Krita team, who are definitely running away with their improvements, because they have pretty much all of the color support and all of the features that we would long want in Inkscape, and we've been using their documentation and their expertise as a guide for how to improve Inkscape. So well done, guys, and I hope you and the Krita project have a long future of creating free and open source creativity software that really empower users. Okay, so what else has been going on inside of the Inkscape project? There has been, we're about a week away from finalizing our hiring process. The deadline is the 10th of April. If you would like to apply for the 2 C++ positions that we have, or the issues administrator position, 1 week left. And people who have applied, you will get an email from me or Renee shortly about that we've accepted your application and everything. So thank you. And there's been a bunch of improvements going on. I wanted to give a shout out to VibeHav, who has been running speed improvements on Inkscape. So he's developed a set of techniques for investigating speed problems, and has been tackling some of the long-standing speed problems in Inkscape, especially with 1.5, because there's a bunch of changes to Inkscape's user interface that slow certain operations down. And his investigations are proving to be very useful to instruct other programmers about how they should be programming better, and how to unpick some of the signaling inside of Inkscape that traditionally has made certain operations much slower than they need to be. So thank you so much, VibeHav, for taking the initiative and really running with that process. We've also been having some great meetings. And in the developer meetings, I actually write developer meeting notes every week that we run the meeting, and you can actually get a check-in to see what we've been up to. There's a whole bunch of people who are contributing bug fixes, which is great to see. And Ishan has been working hard on bug fixes as well. So yeah, this is a real good time, I would say, in the Inkscape project for just moving things forwards. 1.4.4, which is going to be I think probably the last minor bug fix release for the 1.4 version. This is the last version of Inkscape that's going to be on GTK3, so it's its own sort of end of the line situation. This is why we're doing so many point releases for it. We'll have a bunch of bug fixes, hopefully. And there was one thing, like with the text tool when I was fixing it, the Krita developer actually suggested fixing a very specific user experience problem. And when I saw it, I was just like, oh my god, that's so true. When the Inkscape window doesn't have focus, the cursor is still flashing on and off as if you can type, and it's not true. So it was a very simple fix, but it's one of those like small user experience problems where Inkscape is flashing a cursor to suggest that you can type into the type text on the canvas, and you can't because the widget doesn't have focus. So apologies to all Inkscape users everywhere for that really dumb bug that has been around for a very long time, and it took a Krita developer to point that out to get it fixed. Okay, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.